Hello Fantasy Faithfuls and welcome to Season 2, Episode 8 of CSD Head-2-Head. Today we're looking at Russell Wilson and Cam Newton. Wilson is currently being drafted 48th overall while Newton goes 63rd overall. So we're dealing with quite early quarterback draft picks.
3rd and 10. Wilson. Room. Russell Wilson to the 1-yard line.
Starting off, we're breaking down the passing of Russell Wilson. His deep passing patterns does not let us know anything more than he prefers to go deep to the left. This has been shown time and time again. When he scrambles, his receivers tend to find openings in that area of the field. The shorter passes are evenly shared between the left and right. Wilson's completion percentages in the deeper zones are off the charts. He completes 18% more of his passes to the deep left than the rest of the league, while also being league average in the deep middle and 5 above in the deep right. His touchdown rate over the last 3 years is 5.9%, that is 1% higher than the league average for veteran quarterbacks. He gets sacked on 8.6 of his dropbacks, which is a lot more than your average QB, but with his running, this is no surprise. The yards per completion is the only aspect where he does not crush the rest of the quarterbacks. This is of course heavily impacted by the talent around him and what they gain after the catch. What would help him the most in fantasy is erasing the short right and left numbers by 1 yard each.
Stewart in the backfield. Newton on the quarterback draw, diving into the end zone for the touchdown.
Cam Newton has a crazy evenly distributed passing pattern. He throws the exact same amount to the left as he does to the right, with 1% off in the short zones. This makes him difficult to anticipate where he will be most successful and difficult to spot opponents where he can get shut down. His completion percentage is nothing to write home about. He does not reach 70% in any of the short zones, and it's only above 50% in one deep zone, and that is the deep middle, where he only throws 4% of his passes. The completion rate is a huge weakness for him. His touchdown rate over the last 3 years is 5.1%, just 0.2% above the rest of the league. He gets sacked on 7% of his dropbacks, which is much better than Wilson, which will help him get more rushing points. The yards per completion is nothing too amazing for Newton. He is 1 yard above league average in the deep middle, right, and short left, but otherwise the numbers are pretty average. Being 1 yard above league average is of course not bad, but for us to feel safe in fantasy, we want more.
It's to Baldwin, who's looking to throw. He's looking to go back to Wilson. It's there for the touchdown.
In the usability comparison, we see how many weeks they should have been started last year, meaning they were top 10 quarterback. Wilson had 11 weeks and played all of 16 games, so he had a 69% usability, while Cam had 50%. Wilson is an extremely even quarterback. He does not change his production when his team is ahead or behind the chains. He just keeps going. Newton, on the other hand, gains 3 more yards per completion when he needs 10 or more yards for a first down. Wilson's most productive down is second, going for 10.3 yards per completion, and Newton is first, where he averages 10.7. Wentz and Garoppolo from last time had 15 and 13 on their best downs for reference.
There he goes deep down the field, and a beautiful throw. No one's going to catch again. He's going all the way for the touchdown.
Now let's have a look at how they perform in different situations. I've said several times today that Wilson is even, but here's where that stops. He's much better at home, while Newton is better on the road. Both players actually underperform when they are playing against their own conference, which is concerning since they play that many more games against NFC on a yearly basis. Wilson is a much better quarterback when he's forced to be. When he plays the best teams in the NFL, he tends to score more points, and the same can be said for Cam, even if his numbers are a bit below Wilson. Wilson's best situation is playing at home versus an above 500 record AFC team. Newton's best situation is playing away versus an above 500 record AFC team.
First and goal at the 7. Lacey is in there. Wilson, touchdown for the second time today.
Since we have two quarterbacks that lean heavily on their run game, I thought I should add a quick rushing breakdown. I have Newton projected to carry the ball 112 times and Wilson 86. Wilson's best running lane is outside the right tackle, but he only goes there on 4% of his carries. Newton's best running lane is bouncing outside to the left of the tight end, and he does so on 14% of his runs. With these patterns in mind, I have Newton scoring 90 points in total from running plays and Wilson only 56.
Everyone was in trouble.
Newton running. Newton gets to the corner. Cam down the sideline. Cam Newton. Hesitation. Still on his feet. Cam Newton. Touchdown, Carolina. What a play. Superman.
None of them really has top-notch weapons, but Newton gets the edge here with a C versus Wilson's D. Comparing their numbers, we see that Newton's scoring fluctuates more with a higher standard deviation, but the difference is not that big. Wilson has a one-game ceiling of 27 to Newton's 28.7, so that's quite a big win for Cam. Wilson has the higher one-game floor with 11.7 versus Newton's 11.2, so that's a small win for Wilson. Their seasonal score projection is the closest call I've ever seen in a head-to-head. Wilson is predicted to score 314.8 versus 313.5. Looking at their pros and cons, we see that Wilson was extremely usable in 2018. His completion percentage is amazing, he has a higher seasonal score projection, but he lacks weapons and is very expensive. Cam is cheaper with ceiling and floor numbers that matches Wilson. His fantasy points depends much more on rushing than it does on his passing. He however misses a lot of throws to a group of guys that are not that great. After comparing all the factors such as passing breakdown, usability, trends, numbers, pros and cons, my pick is Cam Newton. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more weekly content. And as always, the spreadsheets are dark and full of terror. Hello Fantasy Faithful, I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget to check out more of them right here and here. In case you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss a beat.